Hell yeah.
Next thing you know, you're going to tell me that Spider-Man is losing his powers and Doctor Strange has dementia.
Yes, actually, that's exactly it. How'd you get that?
It's old man Spidey.
Oh, that was my melodica. Thank you very much. I felt like a little noir-esque playing that.
I picked up on harmonica, so I
Yeah,
was a little bit off.
I mean they're both from the same family.
Hmm.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Two Schpooder-man show. My name is the infamous Ryan, and I am a Schpooder-man,
My name is Kyril, and I'm also a Spooderman.
and this is the Two Schpooder-man show. Can you guess what happened this fucking weekend, everybody?
Yeah.
Mass migrations into theaters for whatever fucking reason.
Just in time for Omicron.
Just in time for the holidays. You too can get the
Oh, it's
Omicron
gonna be.
variant from a theater near you.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. I actually wasn't planning on. I should start with this. I wasn't planning on seeing it this weekend. We were gonna have to like. I was gonna have to somehow force him to not talk about it because I wouldn't have seen it yet. But I got my booster shot on Friday, and I was driving past the theater here in Portage to go drop off some mail at the post office.
No way.
And I looked over. I'm just kind of just like, I'm not gonna be doing anything for the rest of today, anyways. I'm feeling fine. I should at least check. It
Dude,
was like 1 o'clock. I look over there, I check online for a 1:30 showing, and there's an opening. I just kind of was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go see it.
I admire that lifestyle. I fucking wish I had that lifestyle still.
Ah,
This is that single life. Hold it. Hold on. Keep it sacred. I would have gone on fucking Thursday if I didn't have to take a girlfriend to it.
yeah.
She's gonna kill me if she ever heard that. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have now been No Way Homed,
We in
and
fact have.
it is easily the big blockbuster of the year, if you ask me. Would you
Hmm.
agree, sir?
So far, absolutely.
Yeah,
The only thing that's gonna be able to upstage it is gonna be next week's The Matrix Resurrections.
I've heard very mixed things about that, by the way.
Yep. No,
So,
I have too. But I don't know. That is the only thing that's coming up that's got a hope in hell.
oh yeah, my theater was a nightmare getting in and out of it to go see
Mine was
this movie.
surprisingly easy. I was really shocked. I was expecting it to be. The parking lot was jammed. I think it was just every single theater was filled at that time, and I must have just barely timed it right. Because I got in, because I ordered online, so I don't have to go through the line there.
Yeah,
I get in, I have it pulled up, scans my phone, no problem. I skipped over the food line and just went and got an alcoholic drink because I'm an adult and I can do that. And there's no line at the alcohol line, so I was just like, hell yeah. Got my drink, went in, sat down. The theater was fucking jammed, but
yeah.
everybody was already there already, so it was easy enough for me to get in, get my spot, and yeah.
So we couldn't get into our theater until like 15 minutes before the movie started because
What?
the crowd beforehand must have just trashed it completely because they had like five different
Jeez.
janitors in that theater cleaning it up, which good on them, by the way, if they were disinfecting along the way because COVID is still a very real thing. Besides the fact, um, we go, we went to the Celebration Cinema at Rivertown Mall, and it's a week before Christmas, ladies and gentlemen, and the mall was fucking nightmarish.
Yeah.
It took me 10 minutes to get into the mall from like the really
Oh,
busy like roads and like how backed up the traffic was to get into the mall. Um,
that's rough.
yeah, it was fucking nightmarish, but I did it for the Spider-Man.
Yeah, but I'll say even though I have more mixed opinions on it, it was absolutely worth it.
Yeah, it was amazing to be in a theater like that,
Yep.
full of people and all the reactions to this film.
Hmm. I wish that had been my first experience, my first film back in a theater instead of the new Bond movie. 'Cause it was so much more. It was competent. It was a well-made movie. What do you know?
uh, so how do we do this? Are we going to start with non-spoilers first, general feelings?
Yeah, we probably should.
A majority of this episode will be Spider-Man related, ladies and gentlemen, and I
Yeah, there
apologize
will
for
be
that.
spoilers.
Yeah.
But starting without spoilers, I like number out of 10. We're talking about this. Number out of 10 for me is about a 7 out of 10. It is good, but I had enough problems with it that I couldn't really go higher than that because there's a lot of stuff that I wish they had explored more in this that because of the way it ends, they literally can't. And I think that sucks.
So I agree a lot with that. I think I'm a little more forgiving for this.
Mm.
Just because I respect the sheer volume of shit going on in this. Okay,
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
this is a 2.5 hour movie, and I want to see an extended cut because I am so certain there's so many cutscenes from
Yeah,
this.
that really surprised me.
Yeah,
I thought it would be a full 3 hours, and it wasn't.
yeah. I'm shocked. Endgame was a full 3 hours. I'm surprised this didn't
Hmm.
get a full 3 hours. It could have easily gone to three and a
Yes.
half, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, I would have liked it to just so that they could have explored the concepts more. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be more casual watchers that are going to get confused because there's a lot of stuff that they imply you should already know that
Yeah.
a lot of people won't.
Um, as for me, my rating out of 10, I give it like an 8.5. Um, if I rewatch this, I'm more than likely going to change that rating. I'm
Mhm.
probably going to be a little
Yep.
more positive because holy shit, I really like this movie. Um,
Yep.
spoiler alert, this is probably in between Spider-Verse and Spider-Man 2 in my Spider-Man ranking, which,
Yeah, for me it doesn't I had cuz I have Homecoming higher up.
yeah,
And for me it doesn't beat Homecoming because of the couple of problems I have with it, but it's very close.
yeah. If I'm going to be honest, I like this trilogy. Might be my favorite trilogy out of like the Spider-Man franchise.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't have any doubt about that. I actually, I was at my parents' house the other night helping them set up some stuff in their basement, and as a test to make sure that the stuff was working, I had Raimi's Spider-Man in,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's still really good, but having seen it again so freshly, it is. I definitely prefer the Tom Holland trilogy to the Raimi trilogy, and I guess that's kind of exemplary of it is that it is Tom Holland's trilogy. You know?
yep. So, true believers, last time we left the web crawler, he was getting his identity exposed by the evil Lakes of Mysterios and that J. Jonah Jameson in the middle of Times Square. And where does this movie pick up? Immediately at Times Square.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
Oh my
There's so many
gosh.
times where they've like jumped ahead months or years, and just having it pick up right away is very fresh.
Yes, they literally start off like right off the what the fuck, which is pretty cool. Um, first off,
Hmm.
non-spoiler stuff. Um,
Yeah.
there is a scene in this film, like right at that beginning scene right at the beginning. Um,
Yep.
really like that. That told me this was going to be a very different kind of movie than what I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
I won't say what kind of scene it was. The cast really good.
Hmm.
Um, this was a very good Spider-Man and his friends kind of movie.
Yep.
Jacob Bolton and Zendaya really got more time to shine in this one. In fact, there's one scene I was really impressed was in this movie. It's a scene where they're kind of all alone without Peter, and they're just
Hmm.
kind of chilling with each other. I'm like, I don't think we've ever gotten a scene like this in any
Yeah.
other
It was
Spider-Man.
it was really fresh.
Yeah,
It was nice to see them. So I'm kind of mixed on it honestly because the way it ends, but I like how they're exploring the characters more, and
yeah,
I wish they could have kept that going.
I hard agree. I wish we got more of that in the previous movies.
Hmm.
We did get some of it with Ned, but Zendaya was kind of a late addition to this trilogy, and they definitely do give her due in this movie, but I wanted
So
more.
I'll say this without saying spoilers. I do want to say that the end of the movie ends very definitively,
Yes.
and I'm not going to give any more than that. But it ends very definitively, which makes the movie itself contained,
Hmm.
and that's where a lot of my problems come with it because I want them to go more with it, and you can't
Yeah.
with the decisions they made.
Um likewise, for anybody that's seen the trailers, we do have returning villains from previous Spider-Man movies.
Yes.
Um, the basic
Yeah, I
plot
think
is
stuff in the trailers is fair game.
yeah, basic plot of the movie is Doctor Strange is doing Peter a solid by removing his identity from the minds of everybody, but
Hmm.
instead of removing his mind from everybody in the universe, his identity from everybody in the universe, Peter fucks up the spell and
Yep.
ends up bringing in people from other universes that do know who his identity is, and hilarity ensues.
Right. Yep.
We
Yep.
get
That's pretty much it.
the return of Doc Ock, played by Alfred Molina, um,
Yes.
Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, which
Hmm.
the vapors are very strong with me. We'll get into that in the spoilers. Um, Jamie Foxx returning as Electro. Um, who plays Lizard?
I don't know the actor's name.
I know what the name looks like, but I'm too afraid to pronounce it.
Oh, it's
We
it's not in the credits super quickly here. Um, I can pull it up real quick
okay.
because I don't know Sandman's character's name or the actor's either.
Thomas Hayden Church. Thomas Hayden Church is in the movie
Yes.
as Sandman, which is very strange considering how they pull off that effect in this movie.
Yeah, it was a very different. I kind of liked it though.
I didn't mind
It
it.
felt way more modern,
Yeah.
or maybe not modern. It felt like they looked at what they did in like the Fantastic Four movies with the Human Torch and the Thing,
Hmm.
and said we can do that, but good. And then they did it good.
I do feel like he was a little bit of a test ground for like future MCU CGI effects.
Oh shit. Um, is it the Reese Fons?
Yes, that's it.
I don't know if that's actually how it's pronounced. I know who he is. It's the kind of person where you'll see his face and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I know that guy,"
Yeah,
because he's been in fucking everything.
he has been in fucking everything, including the
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh shit, he's actually all right. Jumping ahead here, he's in the. I didn't even catch this. He's in the Kingsman, the next Kingsman movie that comes out next week,
Ooh.
and I didn't even realize it because they have so much like facial prosthetic stuff going on.
Speaking about facial prosthetic stuff, um, on an opening point, I really like how they chose to redesign some of these villains.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, a lot of these new redesigns breathe a lot more than the previous ones.
Yep. And I
Um,
like how for I don't know, I'll say I like how for some of them they show them at how they were before more
yeah,
and then transition them to the new designs.
yes. Um, where else do we go with this? Because I feel like this movie's very plot heavy, and it's very
Hmm.
hard to discuss it without giving away the whole hand.
Yep. I'll say this. Wong makes a brief appearance,
Yes,
and out of the movies we've seen this year from the Marvel world, Wong as a character is quickly becoming one of my favorites in the MCU.
he can do no wrong, man. Like
He
literally,
really can't.
he's
He
like
just shows up, does what he needs to do, and fucks off. And I respect the hell out of him just being like, you know what? No, I know my boundaries, and this is not my problem.
yeah. Wong is like the Stan Lee cameo of like these Phase 4 movies
Hmm.
because whenever he shows up, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, should we get into spoilers? Is there
Yes.
okay, spoilers.
That's pretty much all I have. I think that I can get without.
Yeah.
Um.
So
Yeah.
let's go deeper into the plot. Spooderman is in New York. J.K.
Hmm.
Jameson says, Spooderman menace, Spooderman Peter Parker, bad.
Yep.
And there's an escape scene where Peter has to swing off with MJ through subway tunnels to get home and somewhere safe because now the whole city is after Peter because they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Because at this point, they believe that Peter killed Mysterio,
Yes.
as well as a shitload of other people on London Bridge.
Yes. Spider terrorist.
Yep.
Um, the moment they go into the subway, I was under the impression we were in for a new kind of Spider-Man movie, and what they did with this film with New York as just an environment, I really appreciated.
Yeah, they definitely. I think it's because they've shifted locations in it. In
Yeah.
the same way, I'm gonna make a lot of parallels to the first Raimi Spider-Man because rewatching it, I realized how much is actually similar between that movie and this third one.
Yes.
Because they kind of take place at the same time. You have Spider-Man going from high school to being an adult, moving from the suburbs, Queens or Bronx, and between them into the big city, and dealing with the things that happen along the way.
Mm-hmm. So, then we're treated to a montage scene, and this is what I meant by the fact I'm pretty sure you can squeeze another hour out of this movie, because this
Mm,
montage scene of just like the legal proceedings of Peter being accused of killing so many people
yeah,
is just super fast.
yeah.
I mean, I had no problem with it because I think it had its place, but
Yeah, I thought I'm not sure how much more they could have gotten out of it that wouldn't have dragged a little bit.
yeah.
They definitely could have gotten some. But it definitely felt like they were like, okay, we want to keep this down to this part, make it work. And they did make it work.
Hmm.
It was effective at what it needed to do without leaving out details that would have been missed otherwise.
And I get my first W of the movie, one of many W's to come. My
Hmm.
fucking boy Matt Murdock shows up in this montage as Peter's lawyer,
Yep.
and
Great scene. That whole scene was just perfect.
he only says like three things, but it's like a
Yep.
really good three things. Peter, you're going to need a good lawyer to get past the court of public opinion.
Yep. Brick flies through window behind him, grabs it without seeing it. How'd you do that? I'm a good lawyer.
I'm a good lawyer. So, John Favreau, who plays
I'll
Happy,
say that was the only like full out loud laugh that the movie got for me through the whole thing. There's other really funny parts, but that was the only joke that landed with me enough to like laugh out loud because it was just perfectly timed and executed.
so I think I've made this very clear on the show that I'm a big Daredevil fan. In fact, I'm a fan of Charlie Cox as Daredevil, who plays Daredevil in this movie.
Yep.
Um, when he showed up on screen, I immediately turned to face my girlfriend in the theater. It's the only time I took my eyes off the screen, and I gave her the stupidest looking face of just pure joy. And she looks at me with like this annoyed look and is like, "There, are you happy?" Um, so after this montage, absolutely, we get this little subplot about Peter, Ned, and MJ all wanting to go to MIT.
Yep.
Is
I'll say this. I
Yeah.
think this is one of the most unrealistic parts of this movie. These kids applied to 3 fucking schools and were surprised when they didn't get in.
Yo, I only applied to one school and I got in.
Well, okay, was that one school MIT?
No.
I mean, there's this recurring thing with it where MJ says something like, if you expect to be disappointed, you won't be disappointed, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, no shit. You went for the highest thing in the fucking world, and that didn't happen. What did you expect?
Yeah. I am super. Uh, I was intrigued by the college plot line because, like, it makes sense if you're gonna like end this high school trilogy off. It makes sense to go to college. Um, oh shit, we skipped over the high school scene, the fucking high school scene where they have the Peter shrine.
Yeah, it was. I don't know.
I thought it was hilarious because like
Okay, I'm gonna. It was. I'm gonna make a quick aside here.
Yeah.
Because of the role that J. Jonah Jameson plays in it.
yes,
And I wasn't super happy with it. I was very of the time we are in right now, and it's fitting, but I didn't like how they changed his character because he is very much portrayed as an Alec Jones
Yep.
type.
yes,
Conspiracy theories, online blog type thing. And they cut in the very first part when they see him, they cut from him in front of the screen, full suit, fancy background graphics, stuff popping up, and they cut to him like in the corner of his bedroom with a half strung up green screen behind him.
yeah,
Just him, shitty webcam, shitty green screen. and it's used for comedic effect, and I also thought it was pretty good because they're very clearly trying to draw those comparisons to Alex Jones by switching it from him being the editor-in-chief of a major publication to being the on-screen personality of a blog podcast type thing.
Yeah.
Very clear parallels. But because of that, and because they carry that through the whole film, I don't see how they can get the same emotional pull that made the character so liked in the first place that they had in the first Raimi Spider-Man. Because in the Raimi Spider-Man, you have J. Jonah Jameson and Peter Parker talking about the next issue that's going to come out, and J. Jonah Jameson wants to run it with the Goblin and Spider-Man are working together, and Peter's like, no, it's not the case. Spider-Man was saving those people, and Jameson's like, get out of my office, and the Green Goblin bursts in, grabs him by the neck, says, who's your photographer for Spider-Man? And he says, I don't know, the pictures come in the mail.
Yeah.
You can't get that evidence that, yeah, he actually does give a shit about Peter because of the way that they set this up. And that was a really important part, I think, in it, where you see this other side of the character that is there.
I mean, I think they're going to keep him around because, spoilers, everybody, there's going to be a Spider-Man 4 at this rate. So
it probably won't be Spider-Man 4, but there will be more for sure.
Yeah. So I'm okay with them not developing him out yet because I don't know. In the comics, it took him a little bit before he became like a running character. He was just kind of like a sensationalist in the newspaper.
Oh yeah. Well, so the problem that I have with it is that portraying what is effectively a now convicted slanderer as a good guy in some way is a bad look, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. I hope they give him like a redemption arc.
I don't know.
At least.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He is very much a sensationalist slanderer in this movie. This is
and it's very effective for the role that the character plays in this series. Now,
Jonah is kind of like a background villain in this in some extent.
Yep.
Anyway, MIT. They all don't get accepted to MIT because they are all associated with terrorism. Good job, Spider-Man. And Spider-Man.
Yeah, and maybe I missed it. I would have liked to have seen that same exact same language have been brought up in the other rejections that they had.
Oh yeah.
To really hammer it home that these guys are good enough to get in here, but they're being told no repeatedly because they're associated with Peter Parker.
I agree. I wish they would have explained that a little bit more. I mean, you kind of get the feeling it's that case, but I don't know. Maybe they wanted to save it for the MIT reveal because they were building up the MIT plot line for the first act.
Yep.
Peter, thinking like a calm, rational adult, wink, wink, and nudge, nudge, decides he's going to magically roofie the universe with the help of his buddy, Dr. Weird.
Yep.
Dr. Weird is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme, we find out.
Yes.
Which now
I was surprised by, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Wong is now the Sorcerer Supreme, which I'm cool with if it means we get more Wong.
Yep.
Wong just basically, I don't know. So what is Steven now in the whole hierarchy of the wizards?
He's like the muscle, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because he definitely still has the powers that he is proven himself to have.
Yeah.
But he's also just kind of in the background now.
No authority.
But that's probably going to change in the next movie.
Of course. I wouldn't be surprised if the next movie is about him getting the title back.
I don't know. I hope not, honestly.
Either or.
But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if his new arc is getting the title back over the course of a couple movies.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
As long as they don't kill Wong to do it.
Yeah. If it just means getting more Wong, I just want a Strange and Wong buddy cop movie now because that just sounds amazing because of how great Wong is in these movies. Which, to give you a little perspective, Wong in the comics is not exactly the most interesting character. He's a good sidekick. He's like the Watson to Doctor Strange's Sherlock.
Yep.
But this more standalone Wong, I can get down with. So
Benedict Wong really sells it.
Oh, he does. Oh my gosh. He's just like this jaded, angry wizard who's like, I gotta clean up everything now. Why am I doing this with my life?
You left the portal to Siberia open, damn it.
There's a blizzard inside the Sanctum Sanctorum. I do like throughout the movie how the Sanctum Sanctorum snow melts.
Yes, it is a nice touch.
That is a very nice touch. So Peter goes up to Strange. He's like, I'm sad. Spider-Man bad. Make people forget I exist.
Yeah.
And this is where we get a myriad of plot holes. Because yeah.
This is where my problems with the movie start.
No, it's where
So
my
I will
problems
say, though,
in the movie starts
the big
too.
problem that I had from the trailer of it
Yeah.
was on Peter being kind of like irrational to be the one to present this option. It's like, man, this seems like a really big stretch to go to trigger all these things off. But having seen what Peter was going through, I get it. Doctor Strange, on the other hand, what the fuck, dude? You should know better.
He really should. It's all okay.
Like, for one, to go through with it in the first place is incredibly irresponsible, but then two, to not explain what the fuck he's actually doing until you're already starting the spell, that's also on you, my guy. That's not Peter's fault.
Yeah, no. I know Strange's character is that he's an arrogant asshole at times.
Oh,
And yeah. This movie, Strange is an arrogant asshole all the way. I do get the feeling he's a little upset he's no longer Sorcerer Supreme.
Yep. Or having the Time Stone.
Yes, he's nerfed immediately by the Time Stone.
Yep.
Yeah. This is a nerfed, angry Strange, and he is not taking shit.
But he also really felt to me like he was only there to drive the plot along.
Yep.
And he serves whatever purpose the plot needed at that point, and that really stood out to me at the end.
Okay. I agree with that, but there's one moment we'll get to later that I will say is more of an egregious error for that.
Okay.
So Peter's like, make world forget me, Spider-Man, and Dr. Weird is like, yes, and so here's my first problem with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't so Peter wants everybody to forget his identity.
Yep.
And Strange establishes with Wong they have a spell for forgetting things.
And it's apparently Wong's just like, are you fucking stupid? That's a terrible idea. And he's like, no, we've done this before. It's fine.
And Wong's like, just don't let me see it.
Yep.
I've got wizard shit to do.
But that also sets up the idea that more than one person can be left out of this.
Yeah.
Because if Strange remembers it, then there's clearly limits that can be put in place as to who remembers the thing that happened.
I do I think once you we'll get to the rules of the spell after I point out this plot hole that's been eating me up.
Okay, go ahead.
Peter wants to make everybody forget he's Spider-Man.
Yes.
Why can't he make everybody forget Mysterio existed?
So I think that the big problem with that is that even if everybody forgets Mysterio existed, they would still be under the impression that Peter killed a bunch of people.
Okay, that works. That solves my plot hole a little bit.
I mean, that would definitely... There are definitely more eloquent ways to fix it using the same spell.
Yeah.
But I think that probably, like, everybody forgets the video exists, just in its entirety. Not necessarily Mysterio, but the video that got put out by J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
That was made by Mysterio. Everyone forgets that happened. The same way that with Doctor Strange, everybody forgets the party that happened. It's a thing, not a person, so we know that that can happen.
Yeah. They can,
and then you're just done, and there's no risk.
Forget events, yeah.
Yep.
So Peter goes to Doctor Strange's sex dungeon to administrate this... What?
No, it's totally a sex dungeon.
Yeah, it totally is. I mean, what kind of fucking wizard keeps cages in his basement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a medieval rack.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I pay attention to Marvel. Can't get things past me. So Peter goes down to the basement with Dr. Bad Touch, and Peter starts going through this spell. Strange is like, I'm going to make everybody forget Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And Peter's like, no, me want girlfriend to know because she thinks Spider-Man hot.
I mean, that's a fair reaction. He's just like, wait a minute, everyone?
Yeah.
That's not what I wanted. I mean, I get that's what I said, but I mean, come on, dude, read through the lines.
Yeah, I really wonder, like, if Strange was just not thinking that day, or if, like, he didn't finish his cup of, Oh, for Fox's sake, coffee.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I think he probably just didn't think it through. He's just like, yeah, everyone forgets Peter Parker. Yeah, why not? Sure.
Yeah. And then I don't have to remember why this young man is calling me sir everywhere.
That's one of my questions about how the hell it works. Like, does Peter forget he's Peter?
Ooh.
Like, clearly not, but like,
Yeah. So what this spell essentially works like is once you start it, you can't stop it. Or if
yeah.
you do try stopping it, you got to just kind of like rewrite it from the very beginning.
Yep.
So Steven is like, "Oh no, Peter, stop giving me all these additional requests. I'm a small-time business owner. I can't keep up with this. Supply chain issues." And because we live in Joe Biden's America, the spell fucks up. Right? That's the political message I was getting from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep. Supply chain issues, too much magic, not enough Peter.
Gas is now 350, and you can blame Spider-Man for it.
Yep, exactly. Is it really 350 there? Okay, good.
People are fucking. It's actually surprisingly low, but people are still. It's one of those things where people were freaking out about it for a while, and everybody that like had a brain was just like, "Dude, chill. It's been a week. It'll go back down. That's just how markets work."
Yeah.
Everyone was freaking out. Oh no, it's Biden's fault. It's Biden's fault. And then gas went down, and then all those people are really quiet now. What do you know?
Dude, it's like $3 here. It's a little bit
I
better.
paid $2.78 yesterday,
Nice.
so it's like good prices right now, as far as I'm concerned.
$278 for a gallon of gas.
Oh my God, this is Biden's America.
Biden's America. Anyway, Strange fucks up the spell, and he's like, "Oh shit, things happened, or did they?" And he kicks Peter out of the Sanctum Sanctorum. He's like, "You are no longer allowed to call me Steven."
Yeah.
Which is kind of petty, but it's also like devastating at the same time.
I don't get why he just doesn't call him Doc. You know,
Yeah.
I was just waiting for that. Like, don't call him Steven, because that is really fucking awkward. Just call him Doc.
Yeah, or Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Space Wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something. Pick one.
which is
Don't
really
pick the
weird.
most awkward one out there.
Okay, so like I get that Steven's really fucking pissed because Peter caused this to happen a little bit, but
yeah.
okay, no, sorry. There's one point I do want to bring up where like Steven is saying, okay, Peter, we gave it our best chance. Spell didn't work. I gotta take the spell and put it in this little prison so it doesn't fuck up the multiverse. At least you did the right thing and you contacted the college about trying to get back in. And Peter's like, "Whoa, that's a great idea. I should talk to the college." And then Steven just looks at him. He's like, "What?
Yes.
What? You little bitch! What did you just fucking do? What?
Yeah.
Why'd you do this to me, Peter? I didn't have to get involved in this, Peter. I let you call me Steven, Peter." Which, on Strange's part, he makes a very good point.
Oh yeah, no, that is totally fair.
Yeah.
Like, this, if Peter had half the fucking brain that he's presented as having, it should not have been a problem.
Yeah. So
I will say though, if I do have a space and time wizard as a friend, I'm probably going to lean on that guy to solve some of my problems without thinking too much about it.
he is kind of just like the control alt delete of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So Peter is like, "Well, I guess I should do the adult thing and track down this admissions person for MIT to get my friends in at least." And Steven is like, "Just get the fuck out of my house. This is why I don't do team up movies. Forget that you ever saved my life in Infinity War." Yeah. Which I felt really weird by Steven just completely trashing on Peter throughout this movie, because it's like, yeah, this is the kid that saved your life.
I mean, yes and no.
And
Yes, he did definitely do that, but also there's a lot of questionable decisions being made by a lot of people in this movie.
yeah, like no one makes a smart decision sometimes.
No one makes a smart decision.
Which is a problem for me, but it's good story. Fun things happen.
It does. It sets up the fun fight scenes,
Yeah. Speaking of fun fight scene, we get our
So
first fun
yeah.
fight scene of the movie when Peter tracks
So
down.
prior to this, we get the confirmation that Flash did get into MIT, and
Yes,
that
he
he's
did.
going to an MIT mixer for the incoming freshmen.
Yep. And it's kind of funny because they're like, "Man, we all made it into MIT, didn't we, guys?" And Flash is trying to really assert himself into that group.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
He wrote
"No."
a fucking book about Spider-Man, a memoir.
Yes.
Like, Flash is a piece of shit, but I respect that kind of hustle.
I'd probably do the same thing. You so much as get famous on me, Kyril, I will fucking write a memoir about our life together in college. All I gotta do is hit send.
Yeah, and there's the great bit where the only thing that Parker is able to give Flash to get him to convince him to tell him where this like MIT dean or whatever is says, "I will tell everybody that you're my best friend," or something like that.
Yes. They first negotiate about web swinging to school for like a month.
Yep.
But otherwise, here we go. We get onto the bridge scene, and Peter is like, "Oh, MIT person, I stalked you. How you doing? I might be a criminal. Let's talk." And then we hear Jaws music playing very softly.
Yeah.
And out of the ground. So, like, I know the whole point is we don't know where the hell they came from, but very, very conspicuous that Otto just happens to spawn on this bridge.
Yeah.
Because Doc Ock shows up from underneath the bridge, and he goes, "Oh,
Well, so I guess we don't know if he like appeared there or if he came there.
yeah,
To be fair,
true."
he might have been just like, "I'm gonna find Peter Parker. Spider-Man is over there. I'm gonna get him," kind of thing.
My Otto Octavius sense is tingling.
I'll say, just as a quick aside, I do really like their emphasizing the spider sense thing in general in this movie in a way
Yes.
that they haven't done in the past ones. It plays really well and really effectively.
It is an actual, like, part of Peter's arsenal, and you feel it in this one.
Yep.
So, Doc Ock emerges from the ground and says, "Hello, Peter." And shenaniganry ensues. I thought this was a really good fight scene, to be honest.
I did too.
Yeah, very fun. Like,
I no, I don't really have any complaints about it. I really liked it, and I think it fit really well. I wish it wasn't in the trailer.
yeah,
If this scene wasn't in the trailer, if they had managed to rewrite the trailers so that none of the villains were in them at all, particularly Otto, it would have made that reveal so much more impactful because you've already seen this. You know it's going to happen. If they kept the trailer focused on Peter and Doctor Strange and the conflict between them and the multiverse in general, and then that gets wiped away in the halfway through the first act and it turns out there's actually this other plot that's going on, that would have been awesome.
oh yeah.
And I get why they didn't, but that would have been really fucking cool.
Originally, they did market it as like a Civil War part. They were thinking of marketing it as a Civil War Part 2 between Peter and Strange.
I wish they had. I wish so much that they had.
Yeah, the less you know about the
think that-
movie, the better.
Yep. It is high time for Marvel to recognize that they can do no wrong. You can put out a fucking turd emoji as your marketing for a movie, and as long as it has a Marvel superhero in the title of it, it's gonna sell out.
Wait for Deadpool 3, my dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, as it stands, Alfred Molina is CGI to look very young in this movie, and I was actually not as scared of it as I thought it would be. I was really
Yep.
anticipating it to not look that good, but it was amazing.
I would go. I personally, my favorite character in the movie,
Alfred Molina.
Molina
Doc Ock?
reprising Doc Ock. Yep, it was just exactly what I wanted from the character, and it's like it tells its own complete story within it.
So this whole fight scene is basically Peter and Doc Ock fighting on the bridge while Peter is trying to save lives, including the MIT person.
Yep.
MIT lady is like, "Peter, you're such hero, big win. I'll talk to about getting you and your friends into school."
Yep.
Meanwhile, Otto like grabs Peter, pushes him against the wall, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill you, bitch."
Yep.
And he does. He goes like right for the fucking.
He sure as hell tries to.
Yeah.
Because what he does is he grabs a piece of Peter's suit, which is the nanobots, and rips it off, exposing his bare chest. Then he has like a big spike thing that comes out, And that's where we get the scene where his face is revealed to Otto because the suit reshifts like we saw in Infinity War with Iron Man's suit, reshifts to block the incoming basically knife that's about to hit him.
Yes.
And then Otto sees his face and we get that you're not Peter Parker.
You ain't Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
You're just like some Tommy Maguire.
Mm-hmm.
When you
what are you, British too?
What you expect from Wish.com versus what you actually get. Ouch. I'm not even that much of a Toby fanboy.
Oh,
anyway.
Yeah, it's a really good scene. It works really, really well.
Yeah. And he's like, just, who the hell are you? And at this point, the nanobots are on Doc Ock's tentacles now. And that gives Peter full control over his tentacles.
Yep.
And what is, I don't know, I didn't mind this scene where Peter's just kind of playing with the tentacles.
It was fine.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of the words to critique it, but I just can't. It's so brief.
Yeah.
And it plays totally fine for later on when they're detaining Doc. That it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't care. It does what it needs to establish that this is a thing that the nanobots can do. Whatever.
Yeah. I love when they put Doc on the bridge and he's just like completely at Peter's mercy. The MIT lady comes up to him and just smacks him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
You are bad. Anyway, Peter and this strange doctor end up going back to Doctor Strange's.
Yep.
And which Peter finds a big hulking lizard in a cage. And then we realize Doctor Strange might be a scaly if he has a lizard man in his dungeon. Strange reveals that after Peter and after Peter left, he felt a multiversal threat in the sewers in which he hunted down the lizard, which I wish I would have seen that scene. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah. I'll talk about this later, but the entire everything about the lizard I didn't like.
Yeah.
Pretty much the whole thing start to finish, the way that they treated it, it was just like unnecessary. I felt like
he's just there.
Yeah. He doesn't do anything.
He literally doesn't do anything.
He does nothing the whole time. You get this setup bit where for some fucking reason they take the rampaging lizard and just shove him in a moving truck. They lock him in a moving truck like that's gonna do fucking everything. And then he breaks out and you're like, okay, maybe shit's gonna happen. Shit doesn't happen. He just disappears.
Yeah.
And he comes back later and he does nothing again.
I don't know why he's in this movie, to be honest. Like,
they wanted all the villains.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can figure is they wanted all of the characters, no question. And they made it happen.
There's literally a scene, and this is partially part of the moving truck, where all the villains are getting together with Spider-Man to hang out for a bit. And Lizard is like, nah, I'm fine. I'll just stay off screen. The CGI budget can't handle me.
Well, yeah. And I kept expecting that to be like the bit that sets up the escalation in that scene.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't happen. He just walks off. And other stuff does it instead.
Yeah.
It felt to me like they had an idea for Lizard playing a bigger role and they scrapped most of it, but there was like these remnants of it that were still there.
Yeah. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if there's deleted scenes with it.
Yep. Deleted scenes and rewrites.
Oh, we forgot to mention on the bridge, Peter does see the Green Goblin who decides to blow up the bridge.
Right, because that's when Doctor Strange comes in, because all these pumpkin grenade things are going off, and Doctor Strange swoops in and teleports Peter and Otto back to the sex dungeon.
Yes,
and then locks Ock in one of his cage things.
Yep, because Ock's been a bad boy.
Yep.
Besides that, Doc Ock and Peter are treated to some exposition in which Doctor Strange just describes the plot of this movie.
Yep.
Villains here and there. Villains everywhere. Quite a front, quite a scare. But can you put them back in jail?
Mm-hmm.
In which he gives Peter an upgraded web launcher to send villains to jail. Go to horny jail.
Yes, go directly to bonk. It's literally a bonk launcher.
Yeah. In which case, he decides to enlist Ned and MJ to help him because they need to go Scooby-Doo this shit, according to Doctor Strange.
Probably the best single line in the movie, and they gave it away in the trailer.
Yeah, it's one of the funnier lines, I'll give that.
It's really well delivered, and it's partly because if you didn't know it was coming, it would have been so unexpected.
Yeah.
And it's genuinely really well delivered.
And I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids and your damn wizard too.
Yeah.
Which, can we just admire MJ for all the sass she gives this fucking sorcerer?
Yeah, it's like Scooby Doo this shit, and MJ's just like, excuse me, I know a magic word too. Scooby Doo this shit, please.
Oh,
It's great. It's so good.
this literal no powers, just girlfriend of Spider-Man, just fucking sassing one of the most powerful things on the planet.
Yep.
In which case, the Scooby doing this shit begins, in which they go to investigate. Well, Peter, after deciding he needs a new marketable suit to sell toys in, reverses his suit.
Yes. Okay. So earlier, someone throws like bright neon green paint on him.
Yes.
Stains his suit really bad, and he can't get it out.
During the montage.
Yep. During the montage.
Yes.
And he finds out that he can just turn the suit inside out and wear it that way.
Marketing, ladies and gentlemen.
Which I didn't like because it works for the movie, but showing it the way they did in the trailer was just completely unnecessary bait.
Yeah.
Because it looks like the Wakandan technology with the black and gold.
Yes. The reason he chooses not to do the Iron Spider suit is because it doesn't have enough nanotech to be practical anymore because it's restraining Ock.
Yep.
So Peter goes to... Okay. Peter goes to like some places more rural out of New York City to go investigate these electrical disturbances, in which case we get
Ned and MJ were finding on social media.
Correct, my bad.
Yep. Nope, you're good.
Thank you for filling in my gaps. We get my favorite swinging scene of the film, which Peter is just like at sunset, just swinging on these power lines, and it's kind of just peaceful and serene.
It was. I'll say, I think that the turning the suit inside out is it's a fun idea for just like, oh yeah, I can work with this then. I wish he had still kept like a mask worth of the nanosuits.
Yeah.
Because having the, like, some of the powers and stuff that he had from that it just leads to cool interactions.
Yeah. Oh, like in the bridge scene when Doc Ock fights the spider arms.
Yes.
Yes.
Just cool and fun.
It really is. Peter swings all evening to get to the night, in which case he is met with Jamie Foxx's Electro.
Mm-hmm.
And in the distance, Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman.
Yep. So I'll start by saying I think the CGI work that they did for Electro, showing like him dashing around being portrayed as like a bolt of lightning,
Yes.
was I don't think I would have like a full tier list for my favorite Marvel CGI, but that is my favorite Marvel CGI because that is so fucking good.
It's really good. They did Electro
really
right.
Good. They did.
I like how they essentially, to explain like him not having his original Electro design from the original universe, they have him as like a blue dude just kind of gathering power, rebuilding his body in the MCU's electricity grid.
And it's kind of cool because it's like the idea of, okay, the Amazing Spider-Man was 10 years ago or whatever, and since then the electric grid has gotten gotten stronger, and on this universe in particular where there's so much more advanced technology, it's even stronger still, so there's enough power that he can draw on to have his full actual form with his powers at the same time.
Yes. And it is
it's really cool.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx fucking nails it. We have this brief like co-op fight scene where Sandman is trying to protect Peter because his Peter was a friend towards the end of his movie.
Yeah.
And
like Sandman is such a cool character.
He is.
That kind of gets wasted a little bit again.
He's one note in this world.
He is. And that sucks.
Yeah, he's like, hey, Peter, what's up? Oh, I'm going to block some of these shots for you while we talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they kind of subdue Jamie Foxx a little bit. Like, I forget what they did. They like took him off the power grid. Yeah.
Yep. They took down all of the energy pylons that were around him that he was drawing the electricity from to use his attacks, which just kind of stops him.
Yes.
Because they're in the middle of a forest otherwise, where there's no electricity.
And good on Jamie Foxx.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm sorry. My default position is to praise Jamie Foxx no matter what happens
Yeah,
because
I
I'm
mean,
such
like,
a fanboy.
I was gonna say that, like, that, I mean, that's kind of nothing, but also I completely agree, and I loved his character in this movie.
Yeah, he's basically just a more pissed off version of his Electro.
Hmm. But so I want to talk about this more when we get to like a little bit more. But his character's arc in the story was the most compelling for me, and I feel like they cut it short. I really wanted them to keep it going because it's just such an interesting idea. But his Jamie Foxx is a fucking treasure to start with.
Yes.
And having his deliveries with the good writing that Marvel has now was great because he's, of course, you know, at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I guess it was, he's basically naked because he's just this big blue mass of energy. And then he comes in here and he gets his body back. He's still naked. And there's the great line of just like, are you both just going to pretend that you don't notice I'm naked or something like that?
Yes. That was great.
And they find him some clothes. And then they all
Hooray.
get teleported. What is it? They teleport Jamie Foxx back to the Wizard's dungeon, and then Sandman, understandably, freaks the fuck out because he thinks he just saw Peter kill him.
Yes.
And then Peter does the same to him.
Yes. And then there's earlier in the fight scene, Peter shot a tree in there, so everybody's suspicious of the tree in the dungeon as well.
Yes. And we get the other great line from Jamie Foxx, which is like, "It's just a tree.
It's just a tree, man."
It's just a tree, man."
He was just like the straight man of this movie. Just like
Yeah.
he's not totally used to this world yet, and he's just being a normal dude.
Yep. And he's just vibing the whole time.
He literally is.
Yeah.
He's just like, I like this world's electrical grid. It makes me feel good.
Yeah. So after that,
Yes.
all the gang gets back together in the sex dungeon.
Yep.
In Doctor Strange sex dungeon. They've captured all the villains. Well, no, sorry. There's a bit before that between with Aunt May.
Yep. And Norman.
I missed that one. And Norman.
Norman.
And
Yep.
I also really liked this idea.
I
Of
like
him just being like, because it brings back what was happening in the first Spider-Man of like that split personality thing.
Yep.
Except Norman is kind of like pieced together himself what's happening at this point.
Yes. So the way they portray Norman's schizophrenia more seriously in this film,
Yes.
because it's very on and off. It's like a light switch almost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, completely, because he is either Norman and being plagued by these thoughts of the Green Goblin, or he's the Green Goblin and that's it.
Yeah. No Norman. And Norman is very much going fucking bananas, not knowing where he is, not knowing what's going on with his life. He literally
I'll also say that I liked the difference between showing what someone who has the exact same problems but a fuckload of money can get with in their life compared to the same guy and nothing with the flip of a switch later on.
Yes.
It's very stark, but very fitting.
I see what you did there with Stark.
Ah,
Yes.
I didn't actually mean that, but you know.
Damn you. Anyway, at this point, Norman arrives to Aunt May asking for help because he's just scared.
Schizophrenic, basically.
Yeah, he's a schizophrenic man in the middle of New York, not having anywhere to go. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
But he also, in his world, knows at the end of first Spider-Man movie that Spider-Man is Peter Parker.
Yep.
So he knows Peter Parker, he knows Aunt May, and he like sees, because she runs or helps out at this homeless shelter. So he knows that if he goes to Aunt May and talks to her, she will be able to get to Peter Parker, who he knows is Spider-Man, to help him out in turn.
Yep. So he is metagaming like a madman.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to bring one important thing I want to about my analysis of this movie. So when I was driving home after seeing this movie, I was trying to get what the themes were and all that. And what I think this movie ultimately is a theme of identity. Between Peter, between the villains, the idea of these split lives and all the superhero shenaniganry, and eventually having to make choices that lead to adulthood.
Yeah.
Norman is a great, for those of you not in the know, Norman is absolutely the main villain of this film. Despite four other contenders, he is the main villain. No question about it.
Yep.
And his game of schizophrenia, where the goblin is like in the back subconscious, like pulling strings, while Norman is out trying to like get away from it, um, is a big play on the identity. And I'm going to bring that up a couple times throughout this, just with my own observations, where Peter is trying to struggle between being Peter and Spider-Man. Norman is mirroring that struggle with him and the goblin.
Yep.
So Peter is like, okay, Norman, and just takes him like a sad dog to Doctor Strange's house.
Not before he has a conversation with May, where
Oh,
May's just like, he's a broken man, he's just a man, you've got to help him, and Peter's just like, ain't my job, Mom, sorry, he's got to go home regardless.
true.
So Peter is still on team, fuck it, send them home regardless of the consequences it means for them.
Yes. Well,
Even though it means for pretty much all of them, except for I think Sandman, that they're basically about to die whether they know it or not.
he does not know that yet until they bring Norman in.
Oh, right, I guess so.
Yeah.
But he's still very much on team, just send him home, fuck it,
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah. He's already got an angry wizard like in his life. He doesn't need any more bullshit.
Yep.
So they go back to the sex dungeon, and Green Goblin is just like, whoa, magic's real in this world. That's pretty kooky, kids. And he's just being a charming old man at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And Doctor Strange is like, okay, go to horny jail, bonk. And they reveal that they're all going to die if they go back to their original universes, or at least they think they're going to die.
I mean, pretty much all of them but Sandman.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so they don't know it because in their perspectives some of them aren't to that point yet, but we, with the hindsight of having seen their movies already, know that with where they are, even if they think they're about to win, they're not.
Yep. Peter then decides, okay, we can reform these guys and try to make them change their fates when we put them back.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange is like, what the hell is this? The prison system? We don't believe in redemption.
He's also more just like, kid, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You literally don't know what you're talking about. That's not how any of this works. Shut the fuck up and push the button.
Yeah. And then we get like probably my favorite fight scene, the whole second favorite fight scene between Doctor Strange
It is my
and Peter.
favorite fight scene.
Yes.
No question. I adore how they did it because it is one of the only fight scenes that is Peter winning because he's Peter and not because he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I love that.
If you were talking like pure like superpowers, Doctor Strange hasn't beat. This is not a fight Spider-Man can win easily.
And he is getting his ass beat the whole time. Because, okay, so going into this, Doctor Strange reveals that he's made this basically like death button for all the bad guys, where you push the button and they all get sent back to their multiverses.
Yep.
And Peter's just like, hold on a second, that's going to kill most of these guys. Maybe we should think about this. And Strange is just like, nah, I'm going to push the button. So Peter grabs the box, runs outside, and Strange starts to do his Doctor Strange stuff. And I really enjoyed the bit where he pushes him into the whatever spirit world thing.
Oh, the astral plane.
The astral plane, and his spider senses are just like up to 11 there. And he's just like, get fucked, Doctor Strange, not today.
Yeah, his body's still working outside of that.
And Peter's just like, whoa, this is actually really good. What's going on here? And just literally swims back into his own body.
Kind of hilarious because Strange
was good.
Never felt anything like that.
Yeah. Like, because remember back in Endgame, the same thing happens to Hulk when he's talking with the other old Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, the ancient
and he's
one.
just completely stuck.
Yeah. I think
So
Peter's
then-
the only one to ever think about swimming back into his body.
I don't think so. I think it's more that there's something with his spider sense that they're clearly trying to tie together in with the astral plane in general that gives him the ability to behave more freely in there.
That would work.
That was kind of the implications I got.
like his survival instincts, I guess. Like
Yeah,
from the
like
spider
literally,
sense.
you know, what are his spider senses? Because in the other ones, it's always been like, oh, it's just what the spiders do, hand wave, hand wave. And here they're like, no, this is actually more of a thing, and this is the reason for it.
I love the scene where in this fight where Doctor Strange is opening portals in front of Peter's webs just so Peter keeps webbing himself and he can't web
Hmm.
swing.
Yeah, it
That
was
is,
good.
yeah. You just
It's really good. And then Doctor Strange takes him, stuffs out both of them in the mirror dimension,
yes,
and should have him completely beat, and does have him beat, and is basically about to leave Peter there. And
uh,
then Peter's just like, wait a minute, I'm an MIT candidate. This is just math and numbers. Fuck this. Fuck you, Strange. Bing, bang, boom, wins the day.
he uses like the golden ratio in this
Yeah,
universe.
to know where to sling his webs so that they all hit Strange at once and stop him in his tracks.
Yeah, and Strange gets like strung up in webs, stuck in the mirror
Yep.
dimension.
Yep.
In which he's like, Peter, I know I showed you my basement, but come on, man. Um, I do like that fucking Steven throws a train at Peter in the mirror dimension,
Mhm.
especially after what Mysterio did to him in Far From Home,
Yeah.
where he hit him with a train.
Oh yeah.
This,
It's kind of good because Peter's just like sort of shrugs it off. Like, yeah, I've done this before.
yeah,
Like, don't worry about it. We're riding a train through the Grand Canyon now in the mirror dimension. It's no big deal.
he was so outclassed by Strange in this fight. It's just amazing to see him win.
Oh yeah. And that's the great part is that he does win
Yeah,
because he's Peter Parker, not because he's Spider-Man. None of the other Spider-Mans could have done what he did here. It's because he is this Peter Parker and he is genuinely smart in his own right.
of course. Like this Strange is literally God, and Peter used math to upthrone God in his own
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
It's amazing. And then on top of that, not only does he take the cube back, the death cube back, he also takes Doctor Strange's portal ring and then uses it himself to lock Doctor Strange in there, basically.
yes. Which, holy shit, is he going to be pissed when he comes out?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So,
So then
yes,
Peter is now on team. Let's fix some of these guys' problems, and it's revealed back because he earlier on with the whole montage thing, he and May end up at Happy's apartment because Happy and May were dating at some point, I guess.
yes,
So it's revealed at Happy's apartment that there is one of Stark's fabricators there, and they're going to use the fabricator to fix some of, you know, air quotes, fix the problems that some of these guys have.
yes. I should also be noted that MJ and Ned go off to do their own thing with the Death Cube. That they can just press the
whole
button.
thing is to stay separate, press the button if something goes wrong, and they kind of fuck up their job too.
Yeah, there's many points when they should have pressed that damn button.
Yep. Because it's like Zendaya's just like, all right, but if I don't hear from you, I'm gonna push the button, and he's just like, yep, that's a smart thing to do, and then they don't push the button when they can't get a hold of him.
Yeah. Which, go them for not supporting the death penalty?
Yeah, I guess, but at the same time, it would have saved a lot of hassle.
Would have saved a lot of lives.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Peter essentially has like a breakfast club meeting with all the villains doing group. Okay, at this point, I call this movie Spider-Man Group Therapy.
Yep.
Because it's essentially Spider-Man Group Therapy.
It is. It
Yeah.
absolutely is. And we
It's-
get this. So the first one that they go to fix is Doc Ock.
Yes.
And they go through, and it's Peter and
Norman.
Osborn working together, Norman Osborn working together to try and identify the problems that each of them have, or not, I hate to call it problems, the sources of their extraordinary powers or irrationality.
I do want to point out, Norman Osborn does say the line, I'm something of a scientist myself.
He does. I was very looking into the camera feeling, but he definitely said it.
It was kind of amazing.
Yeah. So this is for me where I start to take exception with the story.
Okay.
Because fixing, air quotes fixing Doc Ock's prosthetics.
Yeah.
Makes sense, They're the chip in it sorted out. It's not what he intended it to work like. They replaced and fixed that chip, and it's how he intended it to work now, and he's in control of himself.
Yep.
For Sandman, same thing. This was not something that he intended to happen to himself. It's not necessarily ideal for his circumstances. Being able to be himself and be back with his family would be a net good thing.
I yes. Go.
Or Electro, he is genuinely better off in this world as himself than he was before. He is himself. He has his powers. He has his body, and he can control them. It's just a question of if he can choose whether or not to use them for good or bad.
Yes.
And I wish so much that they could have just been like, yeah, you can keep him, but we want you on the Avengers. Because
Wouldn't that
I
have just
want
worked?
more of that Electro. You know how fucking cool that would have been?
Yes.
Electro with a Stark reactor on the goddamn Avengers?
Yes.
And then we get more Jamie Foxx?
Yes.
I want that.
So hear me out, right? The way they interpreted Electro to me in this film was that this was just a regular dude with too much power in his hands and not enough will to control it. That was entirely how I read his power and his thing.
Yes, but up to this point, I agreed with the idea that the message is like identity.
Yeah.
After this point, it felt more like they just changed it from good versus bad. And if they could have kept it with that and brought some nuance into it with his story rather than just beating it over the head of just like, nah, man, you were yourself before. You were your best you before when he objectively wasn't.
I mean, he literally had to have the electric powers fix his teeth in the Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Like, he is so much better off than he was before.
Yeah.
He just needs some help in, you know, like his life guidance that there is now the framework for something like that in this universe.
See, when I was interpreting this as a story of identity, I see Peter trying to save the villains as Peter trying to save himself.
Mm-hmm.
Where he is making their choices for them in the redemption arcs.
Yep.
As opposed to him actually making his choice on being Peter versus Spider-Man. It was him avoiding the problem.
Sure. I think that's fair.
Yeah. So I agree. Electro is definitively better being Electro than he is being meek Jamie Foxx.
Yep.
And then who else was in there? Oh yeah, Lizard does not go to the apartment. He
Lizard's not on board at all.
No, he's in a moving van, just chilling.
Yeah.
Just watching the police show up because someone tipped off Jameson that Spider-Man was in the apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
And Jameson wants to have cameras rolling in case shit hits the fan.
Which, what do you know it does?
Yeah, so they only really cure Ock in this scene.
They do. And they legitimately do. There's a good sort of like bait and switch thing where it looks like he just fucking kills him.
Yeah.
But then he comes back and it's just like, oh, hey, the voices are gone. It's just like, well, shit, I guess that's good.
I can see
and then they go
now
to cure Norman.
Yes.
And it turns out that ain't what happened. And good old Gobby Goblin Boy is back.
The spider sense scene in this sequence is amazing.
It's really good.
It's like this small little ring, and Peter's like, something's afoot. And he's walking throughout the apartment, kind of just scanning all the villains. And in the background, you see Norman just following him around, like waiting for his moment to attack. And it just keeps growing and growing until like there's this bassy sound going through the whole theater. And then Peter's like, oh shit, it's about to go down. And just like webs Norman up to the wall.
Yep.
That was amazing. That was the best spider sense scene ever.
Yep.
In which case Norman is like, nah, bro, you can't have you can't have choices unless you use the power to make the choices.
Mm-hmm.
Godspeed, Spider-Man. And shit hits the fan.
Yep.
Electro decides, I'm not going to give up my electric powers. Rips off this little thing that's like taking his electric powers from him, made by Peter.
Yep.
Decides to get the Stark reactor in the fabricator because he's like, that looks delicious.
Ain't wrong.
He ain't wrong. Tasty Stark electricity.
Mm-hmm.
And he runs.
Yeah. And then at the same time with all this happening, Sandman and Doc Ock also just kind of be like, you know, fuck this, I ain't gonna get killed over this shit, and leave.
Yeah.
Along with Lizard, who was in the van and then I guess he goes into the sewer. That's kind of what he does. He just disappears too.
I thought he was like, okay, so then this apartment building becomes a giant war zone between Norman and Peter as they're fighting,
Mm-hmm.
going up and down the building.
Yep.
I thought the
And keep in
lizard,
mind, Aunt May is there also.
yeah, she's trying to escape the building.
Yeah, because she's also there talking with them and working with them, trying to do the right thing and help them out.
Yep. I was under the impression that I was lizard. When Peter is like crawling on the side of the building, he comes up and just tells Peter, "Yo, bitch, you fucked up. Go fix it. I'm leaving." And then slams Peter back inside to fight Norman.
I didn't catch that. That might have been the case.
Um,
Okay, Lizard does one thing.
yeah, I told you so. Go fight him.
Yeah.
In which case, the fucking fight scene in this apartment building between Norman and Peter is just fucking brutal.
Mm-hmm.
You have cases of them just like slamming each other through the floors to other floors.
Yeah. I feel like that they could have done a better job explaining Goblin's powers in either this one or the first Raimi Spider-Man, because I never got, knowing how strong Spider-Man is in this universe, I never got the impression that Green Goblin was also that strong.
Yeah.
Let alone stronger.
Yeah. I mean, I wish they would explain that a little bit more.
I just wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, like Otto could have said, "Oh yeah, he took that serum that made him super strong, like physically, and then went fucking ballistic."
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
And they do, because I rewatching the Spider-Man, same Raimi, they do say something like that, but then they don't really give any context for what strong kind of means in that way.
Yeah.
And with this, but at the same time, we also know that Spider-Man is strong, but we don't really have a good context for what that means because there's not other things to compare it to. Whereas in this universe, with how dozens of many superheroes there are, we have a really good frame of reference for how strong Spider-Man is, and he's really fucking strong.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised this building didn't collapse, to be honest, with how much fucking damage they were doing to it.
You'd think it would.
Yeah. Eventually it all climaxes on the bottom floor where Norman, what did he do first? Did he cause the bomb to go off, or did he have the glider
So
come
he and
in?
Peter keep fighting while May is kind of there. He calls the glider in. That gets thwarted, but in the process, he throws one of his little pumpkin bombs over, and it gives the appearance that the bomb kind of missed, that Peter gets in the way of it to block it from hitting May, and it's all good.
Yep. But that's not what happens.
And that's not what happens. May she said something like, "I hit my head, but I feel fine," or something like that.
Yeah, when that's clearly she's lying.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of a way that they could have done it better, but I feel like no, I can. So after she collapses, because she says that and everything gives the appearance that's fine, and then she collapses.
Yeah.
And we get, at the very end of that, we see that Peter's hand is covered in May's blood.
From
where
supporting
she's
her
clearly
head.
hurt a lot worse.
Yeah.
I think if they had put that earlier on, it would have worked a little better, because it kind of felt like missequenced almost.
A little.
It does the job, but it's just like, shift the literal minute, not even minutes of scenes, just shift them around a little.
Yep. May dies, reciting, "With great power must also come great responsibility" to Peter, which, that was a nice moment. I felt bad for Marissa Tomei as May, because I felt like she never got enough spotlight for her character. I felt more sad for Spider-Man in this scene than I did sad to see May die. Does that make sense? Oh, never mind, ladies and gentlemen. He just said he has a bathroom to go to. So, let me just explain my predicament here. With May in these films, May has been more of a cool older sister, a cool parental guardian, a younger May for a younger generation. And she has not had emotions that really get thought out about. Like, what does May want in these films? May just wants the best for Peter. May just wants to date Happy a little bit. Maybe fuck around, find out.
Eh, she shut him down pretty good, though, to be fair.
Yeah. But when it comes to May's death, I felt like we needed more time with her to feel bad for May as opposed to feeling bad for Peter. It does not help she wasn't in Far From Home that much.
Yes.
So here we are with Peter, kind of his low point in the middle. What?
He angry.
Low point of the film, feels guilty for May's death, and you even see Jameson on the news that night. Peter's in Times Square watching this on the big screen, blaming him for May's death as well. And we get their only Ned and MJ scene of this whole film, in which case they are very scared about Peter not answering his goddamn phone, and they need to make a choice on pressing that damn button. At this point, throughout the film, they've hinted at this, like when Ned's asking Doctor Strange, hey, when did you figure out you can do magic? Because they say magic runs in my family. And then he takes a sling ring from Doctor Strange and starts playing around with it, trying to open portals. And he starts saying, I wish we could see Peter right now, and accidentally opens a portal.
Yep.
And what we're met is a long alleyway with Spider-Man at the end of it. Spider-Man looks back, and Ned and MJ are just shocked to see Spider-Man.
But holy shit, it worked.
Yeah. But something's different. I can't tell if it's the dark hallway or anything, but Peter's not talking to us.
Or the fact that he has to duck to get through the ring.
Zendaya knows how short Tom Holland is.
Yep.
Anyway, they look at him, and they're like, Peter, come here. And then Spider-Man just looks at him, and they kind of like waves hello. And they're like, come on, come here. And he just kind of rolls with it. Better than hanging out in an alleyway all night. And as he approaches, we recognize that costume is not the costume we've been watching this whole movie. It is a little thinner. It's a little more fabric-esque. A lot less CGI.
CGI.
The eyes are bigger on it.
Yep.
And stumbling through the portal, ducking down to get in, looking Ned and MJ right in the eyes, is a Spider-Man we do not recognize. And
Till we do.
He removes his mask, and then my fucking theater wouldn't stop clapping.
I didn't have anybody clap, but there's a lot of like, and you know.
Oh no, my theater went to applause.
I wish I could have joined them, but the leaks definitely killed it. Because that would have been so fucking cool. I wish I could have experienced that. That would have been so fucking cool.
My girlfriend knew it was coming and she applauded.
I guess that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't have applauded, but it would have hit a lot more.
It hit me pretty hard. I wish I would have not known because I could only imagine how much harder it would have hit me. But just the actual act of seeing it, because like you can believe things off the internet, but until you see it actually happen, it's a new experience.
Yep.
Spider-Man removes his mask, and under that face is not just any handsome Brit like we've been following this whole movie. It is another handsome Brit, Andrew Garfield.
Yep.
And Andrew Garfield is like, yo, que pasa? It's a me, Spider-Man. And they're like, you're not fucking Spider-Man. Hashtag not my Spidey. And then Andrew Garfield, being a millennial, is like, oh, can I get some avocado toast, my fellow Zoomers? And they're like, prove that you're fucking Spider-Man, G. And he's like, how? And
the whole time, MJ is pelting him with loaves of like rolls.
Oh yeah, rolls. Trying to get the spider sense to go off.
Yeah.
Pelting him with rolls, and he's like, it doesn't work on bread. So they're like, then prove it. And so he just jumps up and is like hanging on the ceiling with one hand.
Yep. Which is pretty effective.
It was good. That's hilarious.
And they're just like, no, we still don't believe you. Crawl around.
Yeah.
Just like, really? You fucking kidding me? You want me to do what? And then I think it's Ned's grandmother
Yes, Ned's grandmother.
says something in I guess Filipino.
I didn't
I didn't
recognize.
recognize the language,
Neither did
but
I.
it's in a non-English language, and Ned translates something like, "Oh, while you're up there, she is asking if you can get the spider web out of the corner."
Yeah.
And he's just like, and he crawls over there and gets the spider web out the corner. And they're just like, "Okay, yeah, you're Spider-Man. What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And they, to their credit though, they pretty quickly put together that, oh shit, more than one Spider-Man must have come through as well.
Yes. And Andrew Garfield's just charming in this scene.
He is. He absolutely is.
Yeah. Um it's like meeting your friend's cooler older brother for a moment and just seeing what they can do that's similar to your friend but also different.
Yep. It does lean into my other problem I have with it, where if you both have seen and remember the Amazing Spider-Mans, you'll know what the hell's going on. If you haven't, you're missing a lot. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that weren't like superhero movie watchers when the Amazing Spider-Man happened that have been drawn into it now that the Marvel's Avengers is a thing.
Yeah.
That are going to be kind of lost here because they just kind of leave it at the, oh yeah, people are going to know it because it's a superhero movie and it's a Marvel superhero movie, and it runs on the same logic that all of the rest of the Marvel stuff is, where everyone kind of knows everything because it's been going on for so long, and I don't know if it holds up here.
I don't.
And they lean on it a couple of more times through it, and it works if you know what the hell's going on, and it has payoffs for things if you know what the hell's going on, but if you don't, it felt kind of awkward.
And I mean, to be fair, how do you do that without it being awkward?
Right, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for that, but it's a double-edged sword, right? You can't tell people to go out and rewatch The Amazing Spider-Man 2 without giving the game away. But at the same time, people need to go out and rewatch The Amazing Spider-Man 2 to get the feeling for what the fuck's going on.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, they just play it like, oh, this is just a Peter from another world, and that's fine. But there's like obviously a lot more going on here.
Well, because at the jumping ahead at the very end, we get Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man sort of redemption for some of the things that happened in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yes. So Ned and MJ are like, hashtag not my Peter. Let's try to find Peter now.
Let's go for round 2.
Yeah. And Ned's like, there's no place like Peter. There's no place like Peter. Opens a fucking portal, and what does he find? A youth pasture.
Yes.
Youth pasture walks.
I did really like how blasé he was about it. Like, just like, oh, portal. Sure, this is not even the weirdest fucking thing that's happened today. Might as well.
Yeah. And out comes from the door a Peter Parker. It looks a little like that kid from Seabiscuit.
It's a drum roll. Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire walks
And
in.
he looks so tired and jaded.
Tobey Maguire looks like he just got done having a cigarette.
He really did.
Not saying like he phoned in his performance, because clearly he didn't. But
oh no, it's just very clearly a Spider-Man. It's Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 10 years later from the end of Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, he just looks
like he has had a life since then.
Yeah. And holy shit, did Tobey just look... It was weird, man. Because, like, I'm not used to seeing Tobey Maguire looking that old.
Yep.
He didn't look old, mind you, but he definitely had some life happen to him.
Yep.
So Tobey
for me that was the part, after seeing Tobey Maguire, that was the part that I realized that they weren't going to do anything that Spider-Verse hadn't already done better.
Ooh, you said that, and it feels so right hearing that.
Because that's the exact thing that Spider-Verse did. You have Spider-Man, who was Spider-Man, he beat the big bad, and then he kind of fell off.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't say he necessarily fell off, but he had like a more mundane life after like Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So Tobey Maguire is all like, it's pizza time. And everybody fucking cheered in my theater for that, including my girlfriend. He didn't
Hmm.
actually say it's pizza time, just that he showed
No,
up.
I kept hoping we'd get something like that.
Really?
Like Doctor Strange comes back to the Sanctum to check up on what's been. I mean, we can't have that. But like something, and like he brings pizza or something.
Ooh, there we go.
Just something, you know.
After party
Just
Scooby Doo
pizza
shit.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when they're in the school, you
Yeah.
know, they get delivery. Delivery guy shows up. Oh hell yeah, pizza time.
That would have been great.
Just something dumb.
Yeah.
It would have been silly, but it would have been fun.
So Andrew and Peter are like, will the real Spider-Man please show web up? And they have a
Mm-hmm. It
web slinging shootout.
was pretty good.
Yeah. Which
I enjoyed the choreo. It was probably CG, but I really enjoyed the little choreography that they had.
yeah. And Ned's grandma's like, "Oh my god, why are all these white people in my house ruining my shit?"
Yes. Basically, yes. And she's just like, I can't handle this. Clean this shit up. I'm going to bed.
That's literally how it
And that's
happens.
literally it.
So she just goes off the scene, and they're like, "Huh? Well, can we open another portal and try to find another Peter?" And they're like, "Well, we've only got 3 live-action Spider-Man actors, so unless you want to open up a portal to Shamik Moore, you ain't getting shit."
So
So,
I'm not saying no.
yo, I would have loved it if Shamik Moore made a cameo in this movie, because I mean, technically he was Spider-Man. Just, you know.
I would have liked there to have been some sort of a sight gag or something there where you have like Ned goes to open up a portal and it's like Spider-Verse animated Spider-Man. And they're just
Yes.
kind of like, what the fuck? And they close it down right away.
Yes.
Like just like I don't know what's going on in there, but I don't want any part of it. And then they just some sort of sight gag. That would have been fun.
Run away.
Oh no, it's a black person. Run.
Oh, that's terrible. MJ's in
Sorry.
the room.
It,
What?
it's he. I guess we gotten any hints of Miles Morales in the MCU yet?
There was like a deleted scene in Homecoming where
That doesn't count.
yeah,
That
it
doesn't count.
does not count. But Miles
We
was
need Miles
mentioned.
Morales in the MCU. We need it.
Yes, I'm cool with that.
This would have been a fun time to start up something like that. We didn't have it.
Anyway, so Peter Toby Peter is like, does your Peter have a great place he likes to hang out when he's upset? Because he's very upset right now, more than likely. We saw the news. And Andrew and Peter start having a dick measuring contest based off their fucking building of choice to go brood on.
Yep.
Which Andrew wins because the Empire State Building, duh. By the way, Toby's was Chrysler Building. And
Yes.
I guess if we're going by dick size based off that, Tom has the most disappointing of them all because this is the high school roof.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, MJ and Ned come to hug their friend, and then they're like, "Hey, we've got some people that want to meet you." Tom looks up, top of the building. There's Andrew and Toby just kind of keeping their space, like hanging on like the walls. And he's just like, "Oh, fuck this." He does not want this shit. And they have Spider-Man group therapy, part 2.
Kind of.
Yeah. Where they kind of just talk about death.
Ultimately, it's about as effective as the first group therapy session.
It's a little more effective. Because they're just like, oh, Uncle Ben, that was sad. And then Andrew's like, I fucking lost Gwen. And then Toby and Peter are just like, Toby and Tom are just like, who the fuck is Gwen?
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't watch The Amazing Spider-Man 2? Please go fuck yourself.
Pretty much. That's what they said. I mean, they could have easily all bonded over Ben, but they were obviously showing that he was still fucked up about Gwen.
To be fair, though, we didn't really have a Ben in the MCU.
Yeah, there was like hints.
And I get what they were doing with Garfield's Spider-Man, because they were trying to set that series up for a trilogy, which probably would have closed that out with a third movie. And that didn't happen, so his character's kind of unfinished still, you
Mhm.
know? And this is supposed to be their way of finishing that up. He redeems himself with not being able to save Gwen, but it makes it awkward and hard to
Yes.
follow.
So the three Spider-Men are like, hey, let's go redeem these villains, improve Spider-Man. You know, let's try being better people. And to their credit, they go into the science lab at the school and start trying to
Yep.
manufacture new cures.
Yep. They go all out.
Yeah,
They do it.
they do it. And
They get it done.
I'm sorry, but I could have a whole movie of these three just like hanging out and talking, and I'd be cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a
That
day.
was good. I mean, they're all just good actors, you know?
They have such good chemistry.
Yeah, they worked really well together.
Yeah.
I did think it was kind of amusing how, even though they're all smart in their own rights, they're all smart in different ways. So
Yes.
you have Spider-Man working on like the computer stuff, or you have MCU Spider-Man working on the computer stuff. You have the Amazing Spider-Man working on like the chemistry biology stuff, and then you have the Raimi Spider-Man working on like the more engineering, like actual mechanical things.
I really like that detail. I
Yeah,
liked it a
it
lot.
just was like the three different parts that they all needed to have it work together and be effective.
Yeah. And this is going back towards the identity thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is really just a giant allegory for self-love,
Yep.
where Peter is kind of just forgiving himself for the first time and like trying to move forward, still keeping to his values, the stuff that May was trying to implement to him. Because May was
Yep.
really the one that instilled the idea of we can redeem these guys.
Yep.
And it was more about honoring May's ideals at the end towards that.
It was.
They also kind of like hinted more at the whole Tom Holland having to choose between Peter and Spider-Man deal a little bit more. Because you have these two who are very clearly at more balance than Tom's been. And then they'd issue pretty much a public statement through J. Jonah Jameson's sensationalist news show. Yo, bitch, come fight us on the Empire State Building. Bring
You want
friends.
this cube? Get yo ass over here.
Pretty much. And I'm surprised it took us this long to get to the Empire State Building in the Spider-Man movies. Not Empire State Building, the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. They set it up earlier talking about how they're doing renovations to the Statue of Liberty, which
Yeah.
ends up being adding. It's kind of dumb. I get it. I think it's really dumb, but they're replacing the Statue of Liberty's torch with Captain America's shield.
I don't hate it, but I
I
do
don't
think it's
hate it
dumb.
either. I thought like if they did something like that in real life, I would not waste my time complaining about it because I just wouldn't be able to bring the energy to care.
That seems like something Trump
I'd
would have
roll
done.
my eyes and move on. Oh yeah.
In honor
Like
of her great.
sure, like actual American hero, you're gonna renovate it. Fuck if I care. Sure.
Anyway, and then they're just awkwardly hanging out on the scaffolding, in which they have these great, like, I don't know how to describe it, just back and forth between all three of the Spider-Men just chilling.
Yep,
Waiting.
it's just good banter.
Yeah, they're just bantering, talking about web shooters.
Mm-hmm. They find out that Tobey Maguire actually makes his own web in his body, and they're understandably disgusted and intrigued.
It's like, out of natural curiosity, does it ever clog up? Oh. And then we get the final fights, which is just non-stop fighting.
Yep. They do the really cool thing of them getting the Spider-Men getting their asses beat at first and being like, all right, huddle up. This is your numbers. We got to work as a team or we're all going to die. And they're all just kind of like, all right, fine. I'll be Spider-Man 3. And they actually work as a team. There's a really cool bit of them web swinging around the outside of it together.
Yes.
That was just really cool. It was a good little payoff for them working together.
I did have like this giant fucking smile on my face when they're jumping off the Statue of Liberty to get like back into swinging, and they're all three of them are just like cheering at the same time. That
was
warmed
really
my
good.
heart a little bit.
Part of it is because in the moments up to that, because we all know that they're all Spider-Man,
Yeah.
but them as Peter Parker are also different. And in that lab scene, we got to see how all of them are different from each other, and then we get to see them all, even though they're Spider-Man, that is them all being kind of the same Peter Parker too,
Yeah,
where they have that common motivation there that
very
pays
much so.
off.
Yes. So first off is Electro, which Electro was
Yeah.
single-handedly kicking all their
Oh,
asses.
he had them whooped hard.
Dude, like, not even fair. Yeah. And I was a little upset we only got the Jamie Foxx, like, Electro mask for that, like, 1 second shot. But I'm okay with it. Whatever.
Yeah.
It shows that he's
We got
bigger and
more of
better.
the really good Electro teleporting CGI, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Electro was really just done super
It
well.
worked so well.
Yeah.
And then we get, just as the Spider-Men all look like they're about to die, Doc Ock comes in
Yep.
and says, "Hey, Electro, fuck you."
Electro, how'd you forget I got redeemed like 5 hours ago?
Have you not watched Spider-Man 2? I'm a good guy, you idiot.
And Electro is defeated by Doc Ock, which is kind of
Mhm.
cool.
It was cool. For me, that was I enjoyed the way that they handled Doc Ock's arc there, with him going from damaged to whole again to remember he's actually still a good guy.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
And I do like how, like, in this little downtime, they have Toby talk with Doc Ock, like they're old friends again.
Yep.
Um,
Because they were.
yeah. And then you have Andrew's Peter Parker kind of reconciling things with
Yeah.
Electro.
Which, again, I still have the problem because it's just like, yes, but also Electro was better off before, so.
Yeah. I do like the line where he's like, you know, Spider-Man, you're from Queens, you help poor people out, and you're just really consistent. Really thought there was a black man underneath that mask.
Yep. That was amusing.
And he's just like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, that's fine. Millions of universes. Gotta be one out there.
Mm-hmm. And there is.
Yeah. So.
Then also,
Yep.
in case you hadn't forgotten, because I almost did, Lizard does some stuff and almost immediately fails.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Sandman's there as well.
Yep. Sandman's there and it doesn't really happen.
You do get that cool trailer shot because this is they show up at the same time that
Mm-hmm.
before Doc
Yeah.
Ock defeats Electro and they get like the 1v1s.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
Yep. It was cool. So at this point, we're 4 out of 5. Just one more left. Green Goblin-y boy comes swinging in.
Yeah. And Tom is not happy to see him.
Nope. All that character building back in the high school was whoop, it's gone.
No, he's just angry. He angry.
Well, I mean,
now.
that's what I mean, though, because that was like Andrew Garfield's whole thing was just like, yeah, I fucked up and I got really angry and it didn't do anything for me. Don't let yourself be consumed by rage, Tom Holland. Okay, I'm gonna go get consumed by rage real quick. BRB.
He literally says, "Okay, Peter, something final battle." And he's like, "You were too weak to press that button. Get rid of me." And Peter's like, "Nah, I just wanted to kill you myself."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's just like, damn. Doctor Strange shows up partially through it, and he's like, "What's going on here?"
Because at this point, Goblin makes his entrance by like carpet bombing the Statue of Liberty with bombs, grabs the cube, they grab the cube back, and then it cuts in close to show that one of his pumpkin bombs was jammed into the cube.
Yes.
And the cube explodes.
Yep.
And the spell trapped within the cube also explodes. And everybody that Doctor Strange, because before, when the spell got broken, everybody who knew Peter Parker was in all of the infinite multiverses was trying to come to their universe. And Doctor Strange was able to stop it. Now that the spell was opened up again, we get the reason for those big purple rifts in the sky, which is everyone who knows who Peter Parker is in all of the multiverse being dragged into their universe.
Also, MJ's falling, and it's literally a mirror of the Gwen Stacy scene from Amazing Spider-Man 2.
It was.
And it was fine.
It was fine. If you haven't seen The Amazing Spider-Man 2, you got no fucking clue why Andrew Garfield's breaking out into tears, but it's fine.
Yeah.
And I remember someone in my theater, a couple of rows behind me, said something like, when she like starts to fall, just like, there's no way they're gonna kill her too, or something like that. It was just like, yeah, they're not. There's no way.
That's great, man.
It was really good. Because it was just like, everyone's thinking it.
Anyway, Peter and Gabi fight on the fallen Statue of Liberty shield
Yep.
as it's like in the water, and it's a brutal fight.
Mm-hmm.
Peter is pissed.
I wish that there could have been more with the shot for shot wise, more parallels between that fight and the Civil War fight between Iron Man and Cap.
Ooh, that would have been cool.
Because it was really close to having like shot for shot the scene of Cap standing over Iron Man with the shield versus Spider-Man standing over Green Goblin with the glider about to stab him. And I wish they could have made that parallel more, just as like a little bit of a callback to like what is the right thing to do here, kinda, you know?
That would have been cool.
Yeah, just part of the visual language. But that's not what happens. They get their fight. Goblin gets his ass kicked. Peter picks up his glider, goes to stab him, and Tobey Maguire says no.
Yeah, just like holds him in that spot.
Yep.
And Goblin.
And Goblin is a bitch and stabs Tobey Maguire in the back, literally.
Oh, God, that was so good. And he was already saying he was having back problems beforehand, before the fight.
Yeah. Oh, man.
He's like, hey.
So then, but that does give Andrew Garfield enough time to grab the Green Goblin serum, throws it to Peter, and then Peter does stab him with the serum rather than in half.
Yeah. And he's like, oh shit, mental illness gone. Peter just found the cure to schizophrenia.
Yeah, apparently. Just inject yourself with this one green goo. Doctors hate this trick.
Oh, God. And like that, Norman is like, okay, I guess I'll go back home.
Mm-hmm.
They send, actually, no. Then Peter goes up to the top of the Statue of Liberty, in which case Strange is like, I can't stop him. Peter, what do we do? And if you actually look in those purple parts, you can see the silhouettes of people trying to come through.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I kind of picked out a couple of the villains. One of them, I'm pretty sure, was supposed to be the silhouette of the Rhino guy.
Yep, Rhino was part of them. Yep.
Yep.
Craven the Hunter was in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard
it was really cool. I would like to. I'm sure it's probably out there, but like like a breakdown of who everyone is, because I'm sure they're all very specific.
Yeah, it's really cool though.
It was a good effect. It was really good.
Yeah.
And then Doctor Strange's motivations completely changed to fit the story, where Spider-Man's just like, what if everyone forgot I was Spider-Man? And Doctor Strange is just like, but no, Peter, what about the opposite of what I said before?
And then Peter's like, what if everybody just forgot Peter Parker existed?
Yeah. I don't know. I couldn't get over the fact that before, when the stakes were, oh, he probably already called the admissions office and pled his case and it didn't work, we'll have everybody forget who Peter Parker is. Now the literal world is going to get ripped apart because infinite people are going to be shoved into it. But it's just so backwards.
It is a little backwards.
It serves the narrative that they're trying to tell, but it felt weird.
Yeah, the logic doesn't quite add up.
Yeah.
So you're going to make everybody forget who Peter is so that all these people won't come over to this world anymore, because technically Peter won't be in this world.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's like, whatever. Yeah, sure. And then Doctor Strange starts like sending the villains and everybody back before he starts making everybody forget.
Mm-hmm.
Peter and MJ have actually what I think is a pretty emotional scene. I think it's like probably the best emotional scene between like love interest in these movies.
I'm trying to think back. It probably is, just because there hasn't been that many.
Yeah.
So I'll say for me personally, I found the very brief scene. I don't remember, was that actually like, I think that was like a kind of a credit scene at the end of Endgame with Cap and Peggy.
Okay.
I don't know. That's not quite the same. But in terms of scenes between love interests, I preferred that one. But this one was still very good.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was going more for the Spider-Man roles, but yeah, if we're talking about the MCU.
Spider-Man, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. I find it very cute because like throughout the whole movie, they've been trying to refrain from saying I love you, but they do it finally at the very end, which is nice.
Hmm.
And Peter's like, I'll just find you and we'll pick up our relationship anew once this is all over.
Yep.
He goes to the coffee house where she's working afterwards, and he decides to bitch out.
Yep. I mean, I get it. You
Yeah,
know, it's an understandable bitching out
yeah.
because clearly the spell worked. She
Clearly,
has
this.
no idea who he is.
Yeah. Um. Honestly, I thought they were going to put a 180 and like have MJ and Ned start dating.
I'm glad they didn't. That would have been really fucking weird.
Peter gets cucked by Ned. Um. And then Peter's like, "Well, I'm off to start my new life." Says goodbye to
Hmm.
Happy and goodbye to May, and he gets a small apartment in Queens, makes a new Spider-Man suit, and
Yep.
it's the best looking Spider-Man suit in history. I'm not
I'm
exaggerating.
I am not quite on the same page,
You're
but I'm glad you
fucking
like it.
wrong.
I'm glad you like it. It's not bad, but
No,
I do really like the Iron Man, Cap, Spider-Man suits.
really.
Yeah, so I like them in their context. I think just looking at the Spider-Man suits as Spider-Man's suits, the new
Yes.
one does really work. But knowing that Spider-Man's suit in the MCU and the Avengers is like kind of a representation of his relationship between Tony and himself, I enjoyed that.
That's fine, but this is the best looking suit. And I'm sorry, if you diss on it at all, I'm going to make you take a COVID test because clearly your sense of taste is in jeopardy.
Why did he make the blue parts out of stripper clothes?
Because he's poor.
They're too sparkly. It's too sparkly.
I love how sparkly it is.
It's so sparkly. Oh
It's
my
so
god.
sparkly. I love it. You're right, though. That is stripper clothes.
It's really sparkly. He got glitter bombed, I guess.
I want to see a better look
It's
of what
hard
this.
times. He's a porch pirate now.
I want to see. I love the idea that he literally saves the multiverse from ripping itself apart with an infinite number of people walking in, and then he just goes to stealing stripper clothes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Um, but yeah, I like this suit. It looks absolutely like the comic books, and I'm such a
Oh
whore
yeah,
for.
no, 100% it does.
It is literally just the comic book suit, and I'm a whore for
Yep.
this.
Yep.
I'm
Nope. It's
upset
super effective.
we don't have more photos of this. I've been going online trying to find as many sources of
Yeah.
photos.
Maybe
It,
there'll be some more now.
the one thing I want from this suit, like in the eventual Spider-Man 4, is I just want to make sure that this suit has darker webbing because that's like my one complaint with it. I just want darker webbing.
Hmm. It's actually interesting. There's really not.
Yeah, like you can see it in some of the scenes, but like I want it to be more fleshed out so you can see it everywhere.
Mhm.
And then
Oh,
we,
sorry. So do you mean the? Oh man, no. These are all. None of these are the ones that I saw. All of the suits that I'm seeing are more black.
yeah, this is like the end scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's actually not a single picture of it readily available here.
yeah, that's a problem, isn't it?
It's surprising because didn't they make like a toy of the black and gold looking one?
Yep,
Like why?
because it would sell.
I guess. I mean, they could do fucking anything they wanted and it would sell. To be honest.
Yeah. So I am readily waiting for Spider-Man 4. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Or whatever comes next.
yeah. Then the after
They've held
credits.
pretty fast. They've held pretty fast. I'm not into after credits yet,
Go on.
but they have held pretty fast to only trilogies so far.
Yeah. I mean, Thor's getting a fourth one, and I know they've confirmed a fourth one's in the making
I
already.
guess he is, isn't he? Yeah, I forgot about Thor. I guess I've mentally blocked out the first two, so they don't count.
That doesn't count.
But I will say I was disappointed that when they were showing like the pan through his new ratty apartment, like yeah, he's still Spider-Man, but look where he is now.
Yeah.
I was really expecting to see the glasses that Stark gave him.
Oh, Edith,
And I
yeah.
didn't see him. Yeah. I thought that would have been a nice touch, and I was surprised that it wasn't there.
Yeah, I expected more like photos of him and his loved ones, like the gone ones, like him and May and him and Tony.
Yep.
You know, like that one photo him and Tony had in like Endgame, where like giving each other bunny ears.
Yep.
Yeah, I expected that to be there. Would have been a cute callback. But now he is Spider-Man, lives in an apartment, rent is due first of the month. Good luck, kid. Also, I did find it pretty cool that he has to now take his GED because he had like a GED study book.
Yep. That was a nice touch because he's nobody. Peter Parker doesn't exist. Peter Parker doesn't have a college or a high school degree.
No, he didn't complete high school beforehand.
He didn't even go to high school.
Yeah. So he's fucked. I am curious if he has a social security number.
So the way that I was looking at it is that documents are probably still a thing. So like if he has a social security card,
Mm-hmm.
which he should still, he should be able to take that and be like, yes, my social security numbers exist, and they can go look at records and cross-check that.
Yeah.
But so like the documents are still there. Peter Parker is still a person, just no one remembers Peter Parker.
Yeah, he's a blank slate.
Yep.
That I understand. That works.
And then the last thing, where to go? Okay, I did want to bring up one more thing. This is the last thing I have. I didn't like how all of Ned, MCU Peter, and MJ looked like they were 15 through the whole movie. Until the very end,
Yep.
where they put Spider-Man in a nice sweater and a nice button-down shirt, and he looks like he's 30.
Are you talking about like the scene when in the coffee shop?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's a middle ground there that they just like chose to ignore for whatever reason, and that's a shame. Because Spider-Man has saved the world how many times now?
At least 3.
At least 3. He deserves to not look like an actual child, I think.
I think he actually looked more mature in Endgame than he did in this.
Because there's just a lot of scenes where it's just like, yeah, Peter's a child now. Even though we already had his self progression in Far From Home of maturing out of not being an impulsive child,
Yes.
and it felt like it threw a lot of that away.
So when I was watching this movie, again, I took it as a story of identity of Peter self-actualizing a little bit more to be more independent from everybody. Like there's no Tony to fall back on, there's no Nick Fury to fall back on, and he just shoved Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension for 12 hours. And
Yeah.
so when I took this as Peter giving up his identity, well, his everybody's memories of him, it was him more or less stepping out of the world of childhood and becoming a more self-sufficient adult. An allegory for that, a metaphor.
I agree. I don't at all disagree. I just can't help but think how they already did that in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
And it works. It's effective. It's an effective story. It just doesn't feel as fresh because of it.
Yeah, I agree.
And I guess it's the difference between Spider-Man being independent and Peter being independent.
Yeah. I feel like he becomes more merged of the two identities at the end, as indicated when his literal phone has a police scanner on it now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I find a weird way like trying to find a through line for this because when I look at the Home trilogy now, it all feels like a giant origin story.
It is a bit weird.
Yeah. Like the whole point of this was no origin story, but now it's all a giant origin story.
Yep. That was my one thought with, because for the purposes of this story, Aunt May dying makes sense.
Yes.
But it undercuts one of the really nice things about the first two being that we already know who Spider-Man is in his origin story. We don't need her told again.
Yeah.
So it works, but did we need it?
Do we need a fucking freshman year of a high school show? I mean, just pointing that out, that's also coming.
Forgot about that. Yeah, no, we really don't.
Yeah.
Peter's forever. Nobody knows Peter. Now let's just rewind real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind the idea that this has been a giant coming of age story. It
Mm-hmm.
just makes it really hard, like looking at the whole through line, because like Homecoming, coming of age story. Far
Yep.
From Home, coming of age story. No
Yep.
Way Home, coming of age story. And it's like,
Yep.
how many times can you
Even
come
the
of
Avenger,
age?
even Infinity War was kind of the same thing.
You think so?
Yeah, because he becomes an Avenger.
Oh
It's
yeah.
his like internal, not to the same way, but it's like this constant thing of yes, Tom Holland, we swear this time you're a real member of the team. You're a real adult. You're a real superhero.
You're not wrong.
And it works, but it's not new. It's
Yeah.
not fresh. And I think that was the thing that I really liked with if they had pursued Electro's story more, because it would have been fresh. Like showing, and that's the thing I liked about Vulture a lot. I think that there's a space in the MCU that Spider-Man being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man allows to exist of not every supervillain is an out and out bad person. There are shades of gray and you can explore those without undercutting your story.
Yes.
And they kind of threw it away.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe threw it away isn't the right word, but they chose not to explore it, and I don't agree with that decision.
Yeah. There we go. That works a little bit better.
Yeah.
The problem is they have so much going on that
Mm-hmm.
to really hit the emotional
They do.
beats, you have to sacrifice things.
You do. Personally, if it was my movie, I would have cut entirely both Lizard and Sandman and
Yes.
Tobey Maguire out of it entirely.
Whew. That's
Just,
a
they
big.
don't they are there because you wanted all of the Spider-Man characters, but they don't really add anything.
I mean, Toby does add some things, but I do see where Andrew Garfield could have been there and been more proactive to cut into those things.
Like Andrew Garfield stuff makes sense from the perspective of kind of completing his Spider-Man's trilogy,
Yeah.
but Tobey Maguire is just there to be the physical representation of Tom Holland's conscience when it goes away.
Yeah. Which is not a bad reason to be there.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I just would have rather they did something else.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk the post credits.
I love
We had two.
Yes. So our first one involves Venom at a bar.
Yes.
Kind of still drinking in the fact that he's in a new universe.
Yep. Tom Hardy Venom just like 3 sheets deep with this bartender trying to understand what the fuck's going on.
And then when he starts getting an understanding, he goes back.
Yeah.
But
I really enjoyed that. But then we also got a teaser
yes.
from that. Because some of the Venom goo is in the MCU now.
Yes. So
Which doesn't really make sense for how the magic spell works, but I'm here for it. I think it's an interesting idea.
I do think it's an interesting idea. I can see of one or two ways they can go with this.
Yeah.
I also think okay, so in Let There Be Carnage, their after credit scene was Eddie getting transported to the MCU in the first place.
Yep.
In that scene, they very clearly establish that it's around the same time. He got there like temporarily like earlier than anybody, like way earlier.
Yep.
By accident.
Which I guess kind of makes sense by their own logic of kind of going backwards.
Yeah. Like, it's very clear that all the villains didn't get there at the same time, but Eddie got there like way earlier when Spider-Man was being unmasked by Jonah.
Yep.
By the time that was like during the summer after the blip, right?
Yep.
And very clearly No Way Home takes place in the fall because they go back to school.
Yep.
I love the idea of Eddie Brock being in that bar in Mexico for all those months trying to figure out what the fuck is going on and just constantly talking with this bartender about like what the fuck Thanos is.
Yep.
That would have been hilarious. I want the like the Eddie Brock cut of like a super cut of like everything being explained to Eddie Brock.
Yep. And you just have like a TV in the background with showing the stuff actually happening by news coverage.
Yeah. I like the idea. It was a Sinister Six movie. Just one of them was too busy getting drunk in the bar.
I mean, kind of.
Eddie, you're drunk. You must go back. Let's talk to the spider guy in New York. Okay, let's go. Then blip back home.
Hmm.
And then next was a trailer for
Yeah,
Multiverse of Madness.
I wasn't crazy about it being just like an actual trailer.
Yeah, I didn't
I
realize.
wish that, like, even if they didn't show the whole, like, there's some cool stuff in there for sure, and we'll talk about it. But I wish they would have just picked like 10 seconds of it
Yeah.
and just shown 10 seconds. Like, if you had just shown 10 seconds of, oh God, I can't remember his name. The secondhand dude for the old Sorcerer Supreme.
Um,
I can't remember the character's name.
Mordo?
Yes. I'm looking it up real quick. Mordo, yes, Feudal Edge 4. If it had just been him talking to Doctor Strange and being just like, you gotta check this out, reveal evil Doctor Strange,
Yeah,
Doctor Strange will return, I think that would have been a lot cooler than an actual full trailer.
I agree.
But without the credits or the title card, just bookend it like you would expect a trailer to have.
So
I don't
I
know.
I had a small problem with this.
What's that?
The very clear moment in the trailer where they're like, "I hope you watch WandaVision."
Yeah, right?
Wanda, let's be vague about talking about that thing you did. Oh, you mean the thing on my show that's only on Disney Plus?
Did they? Apparently they released this trailer already.
Did they?
There is a YouTube upload for it. I'm like watching it without sound right now. It looks shot for shot the same though.
Okay, that makes sense.
No, maybe it's not quite. No, this isn't the same. This is a different one, but it also doesn't really show anything else that we didn't already have.
Hmm. Oh well.
Yeah, so this is different.
Okay.
So at least there's that. So it at least is an exclusive trailer that you get to see, but I would have rather it just been a post credits teaser than a full trailer.
Yeah. Like something a little more than a trailer, then drop the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not as like something a little less than a trailer, then drop the trailer.
Right, exactly. Like give it a week.
Yeah.
I do like the idea though of Wanda being brought in though for the next one. It makes a lot of sense.
I mean, magic, magic, magic.
Yeah.
Whew. I think that's everything to do with this damn movie. Um, I definitely think it's probably my one of my favorite live action Spider-Man movies. I need to sit on it for a while.
Yep.
Um, if the next movies are as dark as this film, I will live with that with a giant smile on my face.
Yep. It is without question top 5.
Yeah.
Almost definitely top 3. It's just a question of where in that top 3 it falls, I think.
Yeah. Behind Spider-Verse, definitely.
Yeah, you're not gonna beat Spider Verse unless you're somehow called Spider Verse too.
No, Across the Spider-Verse. That's the only
Whatever.
film that has the actual potential to be better.
Yep.
Fight me.
And
Spider-Verse
like
was that
honestly,
good.
realistically it probably won't be because Spider Verse just hit that lightning in a bottle kind of thing.
Literally, the thing that makes Spider-Verse so great is there's only one Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
It was literally nothing had ever come out like that before.
And it defied expectations in being not only a Spider-Man movie but an animated Spider-Man movie that managed to hit wide appeal.
Yeah. No film is like Spider-Verse, and because of that, Spider-Verse is perfect. I mean, you know what I mean.
Yep.
So, bad movie, 0 out of 10. Not enough Willem Dafoe.
Not enough pizza time.
Not enough pizza time. They didn't do a group dance of doing the Bully Maguire dance. Like all three Spider-Man doing a victory dance on top of Green Goblin's corpse.
Oh. Wouldn't that have been great if there's like a bloopers cut of all of them doing like a dance from their generation of youth. Like you have Tom Holland doing the default dance. You get Tobey Maguire doing Soldier Boy.
Oh God, what's
And
Andrew
they're all doing
Garfield?
their own. I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't even. Like for me, the Amazing Spider-Man movies feel like they came out like 10 years ago, but it hasn't been that long.
Damn, I did feel like Tobey Maguire was basically Gen X,
Yeah.
Andrew was millennial, and Tom was Gen Z.
Yep.
Tom looks
Yep.
like he
Yep.
would
Very
have
much.
told Toby about TikTok during that film. And
And Toby wouldn't have understood it.
no, Toby would have been like, "So you just take videos of you dancing?"
Like, why did he look like a church pastor though? Why did he look like a youth pastor? They didn't explain that.
He found
They
Jesus.
really did. Like it almost kind of felt like they did that because they wanted that joke for some reason. Like somebody wrote that joke and got just enough clout when they're working on this movie that they're able to push it in there, and nobody complained otherwise.
I mean, to be fair, he does dress incredibly dorky throughout his own movies.
I guess. It just seems like another tier, you know?
Yeah,
I think that's it for Spider-Man, though.
yeah,
Probably about it for the show. I I feel bad for the other movies that came out over this holiday weekends
good
because they
luck.
don't really have a hope in hell.
Yeah.
But at the same time, looking at the way they had them lined up, they know that, and that's why none of them are coming out this weekend, and they're all on next weekend where they get to get railed by the Matrix.
Poor Ghostbusters.
Well, Ghostbusters has been out already.
I know, but that was like their only chance. I think the Ghostbusters probably had the best chance.
Uh, I don't know. It looked fine. You know, that's
Yeah.
all I can say. It was fine.
So what's coming out next weekend? Because we probably won't have a show because of Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas is gonna block that out, but we have The King's Man, which is the third Kingsman movie. Um, it looks fine. It's apparently getting kind of middling reviews now, though.
Oof.
It's the series is losing its charm. The first one was cool because it was serving as a kind of a parody of the Bond movies and the Mission Impossible movies of the time, and it did a really good job of it, of just being over the top, violent in a way that none of its contemporaries that it was parodying were,
Yeah.
an excessive amount, and similarly just taking all of them to the extreme of the silliness of the stakes and the impact and all that.
Okay.
And then after that, it just kind of never got past that. It never hit the same high, and now we have this one that has a this is what a solid performance by Ray Fiennes, and they have it said here, done dirty by the tonally confused prequel's descent into action thriller tedium.
Dang.
Seems about right. Looking at, I saw a trailer for this at this weekend at the theater, and it did look very confused.
Hmm.
Other than that, we have the big one is The Matrix Resurrections, which did a surprisingly good job of kind of staying under the radar until they wanted it to be known about.
Fair enough. I
Like
mean,
I didn't
yeah.
know this was a thing until they said it was a thing. And I feel like that was the case for most people.
Yeah. I agree.
I would not be surprised if this does ridiculously well just because it's the next Matrix movie and it's been so long.
You know, I've never seen a Matrix. Well, okay, I've tried watching the Matrix movies, never been able to get into them.
I've not seen any of them, but yeah, I will say the one thing that I am looking for in this, because like even though I've never seen a Matrix movie, I've seen bits and pieces of pretty much all of them. You know, you've seen all of the iconic scenes and other stuff,
Uh,
right?
yeah, cultural osmosis.
Yeah, you can't avoid it. So I'm really curious to see what they do now that they have like 15 years of CGI and special effects evolution to use the same storytelling language that they have from the original ones, but with the new tools at their disposal.
Of
Because if
course.
they just do the same thing that they did before, it's going to feel like a 15-year-old movie. They have to sort of up the bar. And from the trailers I've seen of it, it looks like they're definitely progressing their own skills to go along with it. I think that's going to be the exciting thing, because that was one of the things with the Matrix, is that it did these things that other movies wouldn't do because they were bound by still within the realms of realism, and you
Yeah.
just kind of do whatever the fuck you want. So they did whatever they wanted, and it worked. I don't want to see them do it again.
And a whole generation of conspiracy theorists were born for simulation theory.
Pretty much.
Tell me I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm fucking
No,
right.
it not at all.
Elon laughs as he takes another joint off Joe Rogan's podcast.
The other one that we allegedly have coming out
Oh,
is Sherlock Holmes 3, which has a December 22nd, 2021 theater release date. It's got a full cast list, it's got a full list of crew working on it, but literally nothing else. There's no synopsis, there's no posters, there's no trailers, there's no reviews, there's no release theaters that it's going to be in. So it's a question of like, is it actually, it doesn't even have a title. It is literally just listed as Sherlock Holmes 3.
that is some good anti-marketing right there.
But it's still listed as a Christmas release.
Yeah.
It was listed as a Christmas release 2020 and was pushed back to 2021.
I'm not sure what the hell is going on with this movie. Because, like, I'm seeing the same things you're
This is
seeing.
according to an article, October 1st, 2021. So this year, allegedly, it hadn't even started filming yet
Hmm.
in October of this year.
They're really speedrunning this project.
Apparently. I'd be very surprised if they actually get it out. It just seems like this is the date that they last said, and they haven't said anything since. So that's what it's there for. But we literally know nothing.
So, while looking around, I don't want this to be too much of a bunny hole. I mean, rabbit hole. But,
Yeah.
I found this. Robert Downey Jr. made a jazz folk album.
Futurist. Oh, that's bizarre. Was this at what point was this brought into the like Marvel stuff?
This was not.
Don't they call that him Iron Man in that? The futurist?
A little, but this was made all the
Who
way
is it that
back in
does that?
2004.
In Civil War.
Yeah.
Hawkeye calls him the futurist when they're on the rig.
I mean, it could be a reference.
I don't know. That would be a deep cut if it was.
I'm very scared of this.
Huh.
Yeah.
Elsa Gardner wrote that the vibe of Downey's album can seem pretentious or simply dull after a while, but there is a moody musicality to tracks such as Man Like Me and Details.
On this Wikipedia page, they literally reference that Civil War quote. It is, in fact, a
Do
reference to
they?
this album.
Yeah. I wonder if that's like confirmed though. I mean, it has to be.
It's too much of a coincidence.
It's too much for it to not be.
Yeah.
I hope that that Jeremy Renner did that as like a holy shit, I can't believe Robert actually did this, and like just cut that in on his own without permission, and they just kept it because it worked and it was funny.
Like, he just says that to Robert, like, off chance, not even part of the script. And then, like, everybody finds out that day that Robert Downey has an album. I can live with that. That'd be hilarious. So we've been at this for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Do we have
Yeah,
anything else?
I don't think so.
Cool, because my voice is almost gone.
Me too.
This has been the Two Schpooder-man show. I've been a Spooder. I'm Miss Ryan. I've been a Spooder-man.
I'm Kyril, and I've been a Schpooder-man.
Don't get your webs clogged.